And good afternoon, everyone. This is John and Shawn with Pure Adrenaline Fantasy Sports. Shawn, how are you today?
I'm good, John. How are you?
Good, doing well. This is fun. We get to talk about football at least twice a week. Hoping to add a couple more days to that, maybe at least once a week. But yeah, let's get into it. We've been keeping up to date with free agency. Since Thursday, there really haven't been many signings. But let's bring that up on the screen. Let's look. Zerline signed with the Jets. Anybody stick out to you? Simeon signed with the Bears. What do you
Nah,
think of this week? Since Thursday, it's been slow.
uh, a slow 3 days since free agency signings. I mean, no one really key signed this week. It's been a slow process. Maybe teams are starting to slow down with the minimum cap space that they have. I don't. It's hard to say. I mean, unless they're trying to make more moves to get more trades done for draft picks.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm gonna keep this up on the screen. This is just our list here of news on Twitter. So we'll keep that refreshed to see what's going on. But yeah, some of these other moves. Let's take a look. Tawan Jones. Oh, Ronald Jones signs with the Chiefs. I like that signing. That was a good
Yeah,
signing.
yeah, that was a really good signing. And it wasn't a cheap signing, but it was a decently priced signing for the Chiefs, especially now that they're trying to, I guess you could say, pinch numbers and keep everything at a minimum and how much they're spending right now. Um, I'm still shocked that we haven't heard of Patrick Mahomes taking a deal or something to save them some cap room so they can sign more players. But maybe that they'd have figured at this point, just let it go and we'll draft who we got and draft what we can and go from there.
Yeah. So let's keep going through the list here to see if there's anybody else. And then you just told me about Sporting News doing some free agency grades, so we'll take a look at that as well. But let's see here. Here's the receivers. Nothing major this week. I really don't know who Hodge and James are. Do you know anything about these guys?
Richie James he was on the 49ers. I think it's a really decent acquisition for the Giants. He could go beside John Ross. They're both pretty quick. Um, Kadero Hodge, though, I don't really know much about. I just know that the Falcons signed another wide receiver, so they obviously need the help, obviously, because they lost Gage and they lost Ridley. And with Mariota coming in there, they kind of need the extra help, so anything can help at this point.
Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on all these moves as well. We'll see if there's any breaking news. Nothing on the tight end front.
Yeah, it's been a slow week this week.
Yeah, Josh Wells back to Tampa Bay. Um, Jermaine Illuminor from the Raiders. Billy Turner to the Broncos. Fred Johnson to the Bucks. Some just some depth pieces. It looks like.
Yeah, it
Uh,
seems like that's all it's been this week, honestly. I mean, since Thursday, I think maybe starting today and between today and Thursday, we'll get more signings. But as of now, it's been kind of like a slow process, not really anything going on.
yeah, and for everybody that's watching, thank you for watching. Leave a comment in the chat there. Let us know who your favorite team is. Let us know if that team signed anybody that you liked, or yeah, just let us know. Shawn and I live stream every Thursday at 7 Eastern time, and then noon on Sundays. Looking to add, I'm definitely going to start adding a couple more to that. Maybe not our streams, but so yeah, make sure you hit that follow button. Keep up to date with what we got going on here. Defensive tackle, nothing really going on.
Yeah, nothing.
No, Neville Hewitt signed with the Texans. I like that move. Hewitt was a good depth piece when he was on the Jets, so I do like that. Let's see here. Man, you were right. Chandon Sullivan to the Vikings. Do you know anything about Sullivan?
Yeah, he played on the Packers. He was on the Packers for about 10 games this past year. I like it just because obviously we haven't re-signed Patrick Peterson yet, and we haven't really been moving in the right direction for signing free agency this year. at the cornerbacks position. We signed 2 linebackers, but we left the corner position open yet. So I do like this, though, for the fact that we do need some youth and we need the depth. And he'll do what is asked, and he'll be able to help the team out a lot.
So let's finish up the last couple of spots here. Safeties. You have Burris. It's spelled 2 different ways. Are there 2 different players? Or
I don't know. Maybe I just didn't notice that there's 2 spellings of his name, but yeah. I believe there's only 1 player like that.
So we'll check that out as well. Harmon to the Raiders, Sorensen to the Saints. So, yeah, let's look at special teams. There was only 1, like I said, reserve line to the Jets. I'm actually surprised they did that. They had Pinheiro on the roster, and I figured they would draft one, but they signed a veteran to go along with the kicking competition. So you just gave me this site here. Let's take a look to see who they have and what grades they give people, and then we'll give our takes a little bit.
Sounds good to me.
Let's see here. Put it bigger on this. It's not going bigger on the screen. There we go. All right, coming in at number 1, they have Tampa Bay with an A+. Re-signings, of course, Godwin. They tagged, and then they did a new deal with him. Ryan Jensen signs back. A lot of these guys came back once Brady announced he was coming back. So some of these guys were going to hit the market. Fournette went back. They get Shaq Mason, Russell Gage, and Logan Ryan. A lot of losses there. But your thoughts on the Bucks with Tom Brady, and for those that are watching on YouTube, I'll tell you why I put Tom Brady on our thumbnail as well.
I wouldn't give it an A+. I think they're more of a B, just for the fact that they lost a lot of key pieces there. I mean, you got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You got 10 key pieces. I mean, even say 8 minus Bernard and Bell, 8 key pieces to what the team was last year. That's a lot of key pieces to – I mean, I know Brady's back. I know that helps a lot. But with the minimum signings that they had and with key pieces they lost on their defensive side, I would say they're more of a B just because of the minimum re-signings and signings that they did get this offseason.
Jay Sweezy, thank you for the follow. If you're just watching, we will live stream every Thursday at 7 p.m. and Sunday at 12. So sorry about that, Shawn. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, some of the key pieces they lost. Whitehead went to the Jets. Kappa, I believe Kappa went to the Bengals. Is that right?
Yes.
Yep.
Marpet retired.
JPP and Sue, I believe, and Sherman are all still free agents.
As well as Bernard and Bell.
Yeah, okay. And Jones just signed with the Chiefs. So, so it'll be interesting. They'll still be one of the favorites in the NFC. The NFC's with only Brady and Rodgers. And who am I missing as far as quarterbacks go from the NFC?
You're missing the defending champs. You're missing Matt Stafford.
Oh, man. Good thing Peyo's not here. Oh, man. I'd get in so much trouble.
He's going to yell at you.
Peyo time, our LA Rams YouTuber buddy. So let's go. We got Miami at number 2. Without even looking at this, I don't like this one bit. But yeah, let's see. They tagged Gesicki. I'm not like our key re-signing. Sorry. And they trade for Hill. They gave up a lot for Hill. This year, I believe they still have 2 first-round picks in 2023. So as much as it might hurt this year, they can get a lot of that draft capital back next year, unless they plan to use those 2 picks next year.
Yeah, I think I agree with the A, just for the fact they got Armstead. They got Connor Williams there for the offensive line position. You get Tyreek Hill, and you got Edmonds and Mostert coming in, especially with Bridgewater is going to give Tua competition. Tua's going to have to step it up. There's no doubt about it. I mean, Bridgewater is going to come in there, and he's going to give it a competition and make it that if Tua is playing bad, you're gonna lose your starting job. So I like this just for the fact that with all the pieces coming in, there's a lot of pieces they brought back as well. So I think that the Dolphins aren't going to go out and win the division. They're not there yet, but I wouldn't be shocked if they don't give the Patriots a run for the second best in that division. The only problem I have is the AFC West is so stacked. It's going to be hard to get a wild card spot. You have a possibility that all 4 AFC West teams could make the playoffs this year, depending on how their season goes about. That you could have 1 win in division and 3 win the wild card.
Right.
So there's a chance that could happen. I mean, they would probably all have to split their wins and losses in the division pretty equally, and hope for a lot of other teams around them in the AFC to lose. But it's possible. Anything's possible.
Yeah, and it's funny, these 2 teams are up here at the top because for a minute on Friday on Twitter there was a report saying that Tampa Bay and Miami were working on a trade to send Tom Brady to Miami. Now, to me, that wouldn't have made sense as far as Tampa Bay goes because they were able to re-sign once Brady came back, they were able to sign most of their key free agents. So, what did you think anything was going on with that rumor on Friday?
I think you're going to see a lot of rumors flying. I think you're going to see rumors flying around Brady because the Bucs know that they're not going to be able to keep him for long. Obviously, probably another year. And with the Dolphins, they knew they had to make a move, so you got to go for it and take a chance. I mean, if it's worth getting rid of maybe 5, 6 draft picks, go for it. I mean, what do you have to lose?
Yeah, let's see, Brady. Oh, Brady. Well, it looks like his last 2 years were voided. But he's still under contract for 23. So yeah, they would still own his rights if he did play. But yeah, so we'll keep going here through the teams.
I mean, could you imagine Tom Brady throwing up a football to Tyreek Hill? That would just be disgusting on the Dolphins have them have that.
And as a Jet fan, I don't think I could handle it anymore. I might take a year off from football.
Take off until he officially retires.
Right. But let's keep moving here. They have the Buffalo Bills 3rd, and they gave them an A as well. Shaq Lawson, McKenzie, and Neal going back, but they added Von Miller, Saffold, O.J. Howard, Duke Johnson, Crowder. Crowder can't stay healthy, but that when he is healthy, a very good slot receiver. But some losses. Trubisky signs with Pittsburgh. I was surprised by the release of Cole Beasley. But your thoughts on the Buffalo Bills?
I'd give them a B as well, kind of with Tampa Bay. Yes, I know Von Miller is a big acquisition for them, but besides up to last year, he played the last 2 years prior to that as injuries a lot of the way, banged up, missing a lot of time. And I wouldn't really say they signed any key players besides Von Miller. If it wasn't for Von Miller, they're probably a C at best, just for the fact that they haven't signed any big-name players. So I don't really agree with this one too much on them. I think, again, they're probably a B and probably that 5th to 10th ranked best offseason so far, in my opinion.
Yeah. Let's keep going here. We got the Cleveland Browns. Let's see here. They gave them an A as well. Key re-signings, they tagged Njoku and linebacker Anthony Walker. They made that trade for Watson. Not only did they give up a lot, but I believe they fully guaranteed that contract. So that's gonna change things in the NFL for quarterbacks when all the new contracts come up. They trade for Cooper. They saw Winovich was a trade, right?
Yes, and so
go ahead.
Yeah, they got him from the Patriots, I believe.
Yeah, and some key losses there. They released Landry. There's rumors that he might go back there, but your thoughts on Cleveland's offseason and the Watson situation. I mean, not really going into too much, but I mean, how bad does that affect them once he is suspended? Because there's going to be punishment from the NFL either way.
I don't think the Browns are an A. I would give them a C on the offseason so far. Other than Cooper, which they overpaid for Cooper. I mean, if they didn't trade for him, he was gonna get released, and he probably could have got him for half the price.
Right.
And then with the Watson trade, I mean, they did give up a lot, but for what they got, it kind of equals out. But you lost Landry and you lost Higgins, and you lost your linebacker, Mac Wilson. The only key pieces you really re-signed so far were Njoku and Walker, so you didn't really sign a lot of players so far. You've just traded for players pretty much. So it's going to be a new Browns team for sure. I wouldn't be shocked if you don't see Baker Mayfield maybe to the Bucs and being a backup to Tom Brady. I could see that happening and him warning off of that, but it's going to come down to no one wants to pay that contract that Baker has.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but this, I believe, isn't this his final year? Isn't this the fifth-year option? So he'll be a free agent after this year anyway. But let's keep looking here. At number 5, they have the Chargers. Key re-signings: Mike Williams, Dustin Hopkins, Chase Daniel, Covington on defense. Key additions: J.C. Jackson, Khalil Mack, Sebastian Joseph Day, Gerald Everett, the tight end. Your thoughts on the Chargers and, that stacked AFC West?
I think they're an A+. And I would think that I rank them probably as the number 2 offseason so far, just for the fact that they brought a lot of key pieces back with Williams and Hopkins. And they also added J.C. Jackson, Khalil Mack in a trade, Sebastian Joseph Day from the Rams, Gerald Everett from the Seahawks. But they did lose some key pieces there with Linval Joseph, Chris Harris, and Balaga. But with Mack and Bosa on defense now, both their edge threats are going to be able to pressure a lot. So if they can get maybe another inside edge rusher to go up on a middle line there, their defensive line could almost be so powerful that it's going to give quarterbacks very little time when they're all playing and healthy, if they're not banged up, to have a quarterback throw the football. I mean, they're all very good pieces. So I like them for a fact. I think they're definitely the second best offseason so far.
In that division, is going to be fun to watch those matchups. But eventually, like you said, I mean, with the way the NFL is now, every team from that division could make the playoffs. I probably don't see that happening because they'll start knocking each other off a little bit with the records. But Herbert's still on that rookie contract, so that's the reason they could make some of these moves. I actually love that team. I agree with you. Probably one of the best off seasons. The Raiders, their division foe, had a great offseason as well. A couple of weeks ago, we were live streaming during the Devontae Adams trade. But your thoughts as a whole of what the Raiders have done, and where do you think they stack up in that division?
I honestly think that they're the number 1 offseason. They signed for the number 1 wide receiver in the league, or traded for, with Devontae Adams. They got a trade with Rock Ya-Sin to send a overpriced edge rusher that they had with Yannick Ngakoue. They got Chandler Jones and Brandon Bolden to come in. You got a fullback in Jacob Johnson. So you got 2 Patriots coming over. They signed Matt Holland to go as more of a wide receiver depth that they got going. And pretty much what they did is they gave Derek Carr the ability to throw pretty much to any one of his wide receivers with Adams and Waller and with Renfro. So you got how many key weapons that they got going there. So I think that honestly they won this free agency period so far. I think they honestly are an A+, and I think they had the number 1 overall. I would move them up from 6 just because of all the key pieces that they brought in to ensure Derek Carr the chance to be able to throw the ball and probably have no chance of having a really bad down games that they were having this past year. I think that they could be able to have a really good season, honestly, with all the pieces that they've gotten.
Yeah, and I know we still have teams to look at in that division, but how would you rank the 4 teams?
I think that the Raiders had the best offseason and the Chargers had the second. The Broncos obviously is the third, but the Chiefs just haven't done enough to be up there, I don't think, right now, so I would give them a fourth.
But as in terms of like if they started playing, do you think that's how they would end up? It would go Raiders, Chargers, Broncos, Chiefs, and last?
Yeah, I think so. I just don't think the Chiefs have made enough signings yet this offseason to be a key piece.
Yeah, so we'll keep going here throughout the teams. This one kind of surprised me. Tennessee coming in at number 7. They have them as a grade A. It's apparently they've had a quiet offseason here, except for the Robert Woods trade. But your thoughts on Tennessee, who was a surprise number 1 seed last year?
I don't think they're an A. I give them a C for this year so far. They haven't done enough. I mean, you re-signed 2 running backs that are going to be a backup to Derrick Henry. So, and then you brought in another one in free agency as a signing. So you brought 3 running backs back in the room where you have Derrick Henry, who's the top 3 running back in the league. Then you bring in back Robert Woods, who's coming back from an injury. So you're not sure how fully capable he's going to be to start the year. Then you brought in Austin Hooper, which is good because you needed to have someone else to throw the ball to, but you lost Julio Jones and A.J. Brown. There's rumors that he wants out. So if A.J. Brown were to leave, what really are you going to say about as a season or as a team as a whole, and what kind of offseason you had with how many free agents that have been available? I mean, if I was a Tennessee Titan fan, I'd be wanting to know why isn't Jarvis Landry getting a phone call, or Odell Beckham? Why aren't they getting phone calls? Will Fuller, he's still available. Why isn't he having any rumors of signing? So there's a lot of key pieces still out there that no one's been able to, I think, get any rumors going that they could be going anywhere.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that as well. I've also heard about maybe A.J. Brown getting traded out of there. I know he is buddies. He was teammates in college with Elijah Moore from the Jets. So we'll see. Let's see what happens there. The Jets were in on some other wide receivers for trades. So speaking of my Jets, there they are at number 8. Shawn, I'll let you go, and then I'll give my takes.
I like their offseason so far. Laken Tomlinson was a big signing. I know when that happened, you were very excited. DJ Reed, ex-49er and ex-Seahawk, he's definitely a good key piece for their defense at the cornerback position. And then the signing of the 2 tight ends and Uzomah and Conklin, those are huge pieces that get signing. And then for a safety position and getting Whitehead, that's huge. It helps out a lot. So honestly, I think I agree with what they have there as an A. I would say they're more probably towards like the 10th position overall for their offseason, just because they haven't gotten that, they haven't made a big splash to get like another key big player. They've gotten a couple of like minor small players that were like not the top 3 or 4 position at that ranking in the offseason free agency.
Yeah, I absolutely love our offseason. There are still moves to be made. I would like to add some linebacker depth, at least maybe trade for a receiver. I know there's plenty of receivers in the draft, but I'd be willing to give up draft capital for Metcalf or Brown from Tennessee, since they were willing to do it for Tyreek Hill. Why wouldn't you? I mean, I guess the other team's got to be willing to trade the player as well. But yeah, bringing back Berrios, he was further down the list on our wide receivers. He was definitely 3rd or 4th, but he's a great special teamer. He led the league in, I believe, punt returns. So Flacco, just a depth piece as well for quarterback, for Zach Wilson to learn from. Tevin Coleman at running back. Some smaller signings, but yeah, the Laken Tomlinson deal. He was the number 1 free agent I wanted going into the offseason. I absolutely love that move. And getting Uzomah and Conklin. After all the tight ends that were supposed to be free agents got tagged, Conklin became number one tight end on my list that I wanted. So they signed Uzama first, but then they still end up getting Conklin as well. They bring over Jacob Martin from the Texans. I like that move as well. Some of the key losses they have here: Fadukasi, Marcus May. Marcus May definitely wasn't going to resign. He's coming back from injury. But some of these other guys, Crowder went to Buffalo. Cole still a free agent. I'd like Duvernay Tardif to come back as maybe a depth position on that offensive line. And Blake Cashman. They end up sending Cashman away for a 2023 draft pick that they wouldn't have gotten. I mean, they were just going to cut him anyway. So, that's my Jets there for their offseason so far. And they do have 2 first-round picks coming up in the draft and 2 second-round. They actually have 4 picks in the top 38 picks of this draft. So that'll be fun. That'll be fun to watch on draft night. But let's move down to Indianapolis. Indianapolis ends up trading for Matt Ryan after trading away Carson Wentz. Your thoughts on Indianapolis this offseason?
I don't agree with this as well. I actually give them more of a D grading just for the fact they only brought in 7 players so far, and 2 of which have come from a trade. So they lost a lot of stuff to get those 2 players. I mean, with Yannick Ngakoue, obviously they only lost a cornerback, but you weren't able to get off the field enough last year, so why would you want to be willing to trade for him? But with Matt Ryan, I mean, it helps their offense, but you have no one for him to throw to besides Pittman. So I don't like that. I just don't think they've done enough for the free agency. And, I mean, that's my only key position is they haven't done enough. So, I think they're more of a D grading just because of what they have done.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what they do. They're saying here the Colts sitting on a lot of money, but have slow played free agency under sometimes aggressive Chris Ballard, who waited patiently to upgrade from Wentz to Ryan. I mean, I agree with you. They're definitely going to need another wide receiver there. But man, what an upgrade at quarterback. And the pressure is not going to be on him. I saw a stat where what Matt Ryan's record was when the running back rushes for 100 yards. And it was like 27 wins and 6 losses or something like that. So,
yeah, I mean, it's key when you have a key rusher. And with him having one now, it's going to help him a lot. And with Matt Ryan, he's not going to have to throw the ball enough or a lot unless they're trailing or behind. And with the division that they're in, you got to almost guarantee that the games you're playing in division, you're not going to really be trailing too much other than maybe the Titans a lot. But it seems like the Jaguars always somehow beat them every year in Jacksonville. So make sure that they circle that game and put a star next to it to show up.
Yep, agreed. Any other thoughts on Indianapolis before we keep going?
No, let's keep it moving.
Cincinnati coming in at number 10. They give them an A as well. It seems like they're giving a lot of these teams good grades. Like you said, some of these teams shouldn't be ranked this high, but I honestly don't know. I don't like what Cincinnati's done this offseason. And I still don't. I know they went to the Super Bowl last year, but I don't think they're the best team in that division.
I like their offseason just for the fact that they signed 2 guards, an offensive tackle. That was key. They brought back the other wide receiver, Mike Thomas. That isn't the Michael Thomas that we know of in New Orleans. But then they brought Jesse Bates back. You brought Eli Apple back. So I think that honestly they had a better offseason than what I expected them to have from the fact them going to the Super Bowl last year and thinking they might not re-sign anybody, bring the whole team back. They went out and they picked up the pieces they truthfully needed. They needed offensive line. So Joe Burrow now is going to have a lot more of a safety net, knowing the fact that he's got Kappa and Karras and Collins up there guarding him.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what they do here the rest of free agency. We'll take a look at what everybody's gotten in salary cap space left here in a minute. But yeah, Seattle, they have Seattle coming in at number 11 with an A-. They trade away Russell Wilson. They lose DJ Reed, Gerald Everett. But I mean, they do bring Diggs back. They get Disley back, Penny back. I was actually surprised by that. But in that trade they end up getting Drew Lock, Noah Fant, Shelby Harris. So your thoughts on Seattle?
I kind of agree with the A-. They got a lot in return for a quarterback that didn't want to be there anymore. Russell Wilson wasn't as happy as he was, and he was kind of on his way out the door. So I think that they got a lot in return for him with Fant. Then they signed Harris. They got Drew Lock in that trade. They got, I think it was 2 or 3 draft picks. So they got a lot of return, and I think honestly they won that trade for Russell Wilson for the fact that they got so much in return for a quarterback that wasn't happy there anymore. So why bring a quarterback back that's not happy? Kind of like Baker Mayfield, Matt Ryan, Deshaun Watson. Like when the time's up and they're no longer wanting to be there, you kind of got to let's get what they're worth and get out of the way.
So let's keep looking. It'll be interesting to see what they keep to do there. Pete Carroll's still there, going through a rebuild here, kind of. Are they gonna run with Drew Lock, or are they gonna make another move for maybe say Baker Mayfield or somebody else? But Arizona comes in at number 12 with another A-. They re-sign Zach Ertz, Colt McCoy, Andy Lee, their punter. It doesn't look like. I mean, they lost Edmonds, Christian Kirk, Chandler Jones, Jordan Hicks, Jordan Phillips. Man, this team could be in trouble this year.
They signed a lot of Jordans and Jones, or didn't sign, should I say? But I'm going to go with the same thing I said about with the Titans earlier and the Colts. I kind of think they took a step back instead of a step forward. I give them a D as well. They didn't really re-sign any positions that they needed to fix. Kyler Murray came out in his offseason saying he didn't even know if he wanted to play football anymore because of the lack of communication and leadership coming out of the team for the fact that they don't want to kind of take the next step forward and be successful. So with only re-signing Connor and Ertz and Williams, what really are you ensuring other than the fact that we're going to punt the ball a lot with re-signing Andy Lee as a punter?
Right.
Jeff Gladney's from the Minnesota Vikings, and I'm honestly going to say that him going to the Cardinals, I mean, yeah, it's good for them to have a key depth piece, but he was always getting burned last year. So they didn't really gain anything on their defense, and they lost so many key pieces with Hicks and Jones and Phillips, Alford, and then offensive-wise, they lost Green, Kirk, and Edmonds. I mean, they're probably, honestly, I think the 20th to 25th ranked free agency period so far this year just on the pieces that they lost over all the pieces that they gained. I mean, they didn't really go out and spend the money. So I think they took way further step back, and I think they're honestly the 3rd to 4th in that division right now.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening there. Let's keep here, man. We have the Rams with a B. Key addition, Allen Robinson. They trade away Robert Woods, lose Von Miller. They cut Johnny Hecker. That was a surprise move as well. I know he was making a lot of money for a punter, but that kind of surprised me. But your thoughts on the defending champs?
I kind of agree with what they're at. They're at a B. They only signed 3 people so far, but the problem is they're hurting a lot for money. So that right there is what is kind of their Achilles heel. So by all their losses there, they were all expensive key losses that they pretty much cut ties with and couldn't bring back. I would say they're probably the 17th to 20th ranked offseason so far for the fact that they haven't really re-signed anybody major other than Robinson. I'd probably say that I say they're a B, but I say they're a B- just because of the little pieces that they did get to come over to the defending champs. I mean, they are bringing a lot of pieces back, but not enough to want to say that they're the key favorite for the NFC.
Yeah, and then they have Philadelphia coming in at number 14, to giving them a B as well. They cut and re-signed Fletcher Cox, bring back Boston Scott, Anthony Harris, and Greg Ward. They added Pascal and Reddick. Key losses, Barnett, Ridgeway, Singleton. So still a lot of work to be done there in Philadelphia. They still need some wide receiver help, but they have 3 first-round draft picks. Your thoughts on Philadelphia?
I honestly, I think they're a C for the offseason, probably about the 17th to 18th ranked. They didn't really get any key pieces. I mean, Fletcher Cox was cut to get re-signed for cheaper. They brought Anthony Harris back, and then Ward and Pascal and Scott were just to keep cheap pieces that they brought in and / back. Hassan Reddick, I mean, he signed, I think it was a 2 or 3 year deal to go there, but they haven't signed any other key pieces really, and they've kind of been quiet in any kind of rumors. So honestly, I think that they're more or less looking forward to the draft at this point, to seeing what could come about in the draft.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on there. Let's keep going here. We have Shawn's new favorite team, the Washington Commanders. Might be the worst name in sports, honestly. But yeah, your thoughts? They bring in Wentz. I don't like that move. We're seeing that Wentz isn't that good of a quarterback. Their key losses: Scherf, Flowers, Collins. They released. Your thoughts on what Washington is doing?
Honestly, I think I give them a D minus. They brought in Carson Wentz, and that's really it, and Andrew Norwell. Other than that, the team has stayed the same, and for a team that wasn't very successful last year, just look at the key pieces they lost. They lost Sharif, Flowers, Settle, Ionis, Everett, Collins, Humphreys, and Bostic. I mean, that's a lot of key pieces you lost to both your offense and your defense. So I honestly give them a D minus, and I think they're honestly between the 28th and 32nd ranked offseason, just for the fact of the little pieces that they brought back and the key pieces that they lost. I mean, on a defense that couldn't get off the field last year, and you signed one position so far for in the offseason at defense, you gotta fix what's been broken, and their defense is broken.
Yeah, agreed. So we'll keep going here. Man, this hour is flying by. Everybody that's watching, thank you for watching. If you haven't, hit that follow button. If you're on Twitter, if you're on Twitter, we're at PA Fantasy Sports over there. On YouTube, thank you for watching. Hit that subscribe button as well, that notification bell. But let's keep looking here. We got the Atlanta Falcons coming in at number 16 with a B. Love the re-signing of Patterson, Koo, their kicker. I love the fact that after they traded Matt Ryan, they signed Mariota to a 2-year deal. I think they're doing that. That signing told me they're taking a quarterback in the draft. Maybe not in the first round, but they're definitely taking a quarterback this year to compete. But your thoughts there with the Atlanta Falcons?
I would rank their defense. I would rank their offseason as a C minus. I mean, yes, they brought back Patterson and they brought in Mariota and Casey Hayward, but again, with the Commanders, they couldn't get off the field last year, and they're giving up too many points on their defense. So you kind of want to go out there and you want to have more signings. Other than that, I mean, they're bringing back a pretty solid offensive side of the ball. But without Calvin Ridley and without Russell Gage now signing in Tampa Bay, I would want to think they would want to go out and sign another wide receiver so Patterson doesn't have to play 2 positions the whole year and to break up the Kyle Pitts. But other than that, they've had a decent enough offseason for the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, in the beginning of the offseason, they were probably not really in a rush to go sign anyone, thinking that they were probably competing for a chance at the division, but then Tom Brady came back and it's like, well, now we're in trouble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if they add any more or what direction they go in the draft. But Jacksonville, I don't like this grade. I know they signed a lot. They brought in a lot of help, but these contracts will eventually catch up with them. And Jacksonville will end up right back where they were. But having Lawrence, depending on how Lawrence pans out, it might be okay. But your thoughts on Jacksonville with the B grade And then what do you think of their moves?
If I grade their signings in the offseason, I would give them an A. If I give them the way that they signed their contracts this offseason, that thing's a beyond F. I mean, they overpaid for a lot of players.
Mm-hmm.
But I would give them a B- to a C, just because it is Jacksonville, and they could have signed Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, Julio Jones, and the team is still going to be Jacksonville, and we're going to look at them the same way. But other than that, I think that they had a decent offseason. I mean, they're probably not quiet yet. They're probably going to go sign some more. And we're forgetting that they got the first overall pick coming in the draft. And how many other – I think they have like 6 or 7 other picks in the draft coming up. So that's a lot of picks. And with Doug Peterson, he's gonna go out there and he's going to draft the positions that they need to fix. And I honestly think that they're going to go out and they're going to draft more defensive players so they can stop teams and get the ball in shorter field position to help Lawrence and not needing to go 80 to 100 yards down the field and only needing to go maybe 30 to 50 to get in a field goal at a scoring range.
Yeah. Sig Shadows just hit that follow button over on Twitch. Thank you very much for that. Man, Shawn, what a week. What a week on Twitch. We started really pushing Twitch over there 8 days ago, and we're already up to more followers than we have on YouTube, which we've been doing for 6 months. So thank you, everybody, for the support over there. Plenty more content to come. Anything to add to that Shawn, with the followers?
No. I mean, just thanks to everyone following. I mean, we got a lot more to go yet in this offseason, so we got a lot to bring to the table.
Yeah, absolutely. My time of year is coming up with the draft. I absolutely love the NFL draft. Looking at all the players. I personally don't do any rankings. I'm not that smart with the college game. So I use some other websites to look at where they have players ranked at. But let's jump back in. We're at number 18 here with the 49ers. I don't know what San Francisco is doing at quarterback, but your thoughts on their moves?
I grade their free agency period as a D. They haven't really made any moves, and they lost a lot of decent players there with Tomlinson, Jones, Mostert, and Compton. I know they brought back a couple pieces there with Ward from the Chiefs, Burks, Ridgeway, Odom, and then Ray McLeod from the Steelers, and then re-signed Hasty. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that's enough pieces that's going to help the team. I mean, I know they went on a run last year, but if they're going to have Trey Lance starting at quarterback, you need more pieces to help your defense, because you got to hope and pray you can get off the field a lot or score or give him a short field, because the longer the field is for him, the worse it's going to end up being, I think, because I don't think Trey Lance is one of those quarterbacks that's going to be able to go up and down the field 80 yards every drive if needed.
Mm-hmm. And man, they made that trade last year to move up to number 3. I think they were hoping the Jets weren't taking Zach Wilson. That's my thought. I don't know why. I didn't think Lance was the 3rd best quarterback in last year's draft, but they gave up a lot for him. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Let's keep moving here. We got Denver at number 19 with a B-. It'll be interesting. I know Thursday we talked about their stadium being on fire. Have we heard? I have not heard. Have you heard anything else about damage to the stadium?
No, I have not.
Yeah, so we'll see. They trade for Russell Wilson. They get Randy Gregory, DJ Jones, Alex Singleton. But yeah, of course, trading away Fant, Locke in that deal, and Harris and some draft capital. But your thoughts on Denver? Yeah, so it's good. Like we said before, going to be a fun division.
Yeah, I kind of agree with this Denver grading. They've been kind of quiet. There were some rumors like, all right, we might be in on Von Miller, maybe bringing him back. We might be a rumor of bringing this guy in or that guy in, but then it's like the rumors kind of fell apart. Right. Honestly, I think their offseason would have been better if they would have traded and got Aaron Rodgers before trading for Russell Wilson. I think if Aaron Rodgers would have came there, I think it would have been better overall. Mm-hmm. But overall, I think they had a decent offseason. I mean, they only re-signed Jewell and Williams, and they only brought in Randy Gregory, Jones from Seattle, Singleton from the Lions, and Wilson from Seattle. So you need to bring in a few more key pieces, I would think. I mean, they lost their top tight end and Noah Fant, so who's going to replace him? Are you going to draft for one, or are you going to trade for one?
Right.
And then you haven't really brought any other key pieces in on offense. So are you kind of happy with the offense you have and you're going to roll with it? Or what kind of plans has Denver got for their offseason yet? Is still a lot of questions.
Yeah, and still plenty of free agency to go. Still got the draft yet, so we'll see what happens there. But let's keep moving here. Pittsburgh at number 20 with a B minus. They bring Trubisky in to compete at that starting quarterback spot. I like the Miles Jack gets released in Jacksonville. They sign him. I like that. I know he gets injured a lot, but some of the losses, Hayden, Juju Smith-Schuster, Ray McLeod. Your thoughts on what Pittsburgh's doing?
Yeah, I'm kind of with the same boat as Denver. I kind of agree with their offseason so far. They haven't brought enough pieces in to sit here and say that they're a favorite in that division. I still think they might honestly be the worst team in that division. I know Miles Jack and with TJ Watt being side by side, that's great for their defensive linebacker position, but are you going to be able to stop enough teams from scoring down the field and driving down the field on you if you only have two linebackers, really? I just don't think they've signed enough pieces to replace the Ben Roethlisberger contract that they had. I think if they would have been able to sign a few more key pieces to replace the money that they were spending on him, I think it would have been better for them. I just don't think that they've done enough to make their team say, like, ooh, here we are.
Right. Yeah, agreed. But let's keep moving here. This hour is flying by. We got Dallas coming in at number 21 with a B minus. Resigned Gallup, tag Schultz, Vander Esch, Curse at safety, and then they bring in James Washington. So they haven't, besides keeping their own guys, they really haven't done much in free agency. Your thoughts on what's going on in Dallas?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think that – I figured Dallas was going to say, all right, well, we need to go out and we got to sign this many people or something, and they just didn't. I expected them to do more. I expected them to sign more and be more active in trades. They lost a lot of key players. I mean, I know they brought back Gallup and Schultz and Vander Esch, but you need a few other pieces to help out, especially with your offense. I mean, you lost Amari Cooper and you lost Cedric Wilson. Like, who's going to fill those two voids? You lost one of your safeties in Xavier Woods. I mean, Greg Zuerlein's kind of replaceable. You could always replace a kicker if you're not really kicking enough and you're punting the ball more or going for it. So I understand that, but I just think that I figured they would do more in this offseason than what they did. I would kind of grade them at a C minus just because of the big key pieces they lost and the little pieces they brought back in return for those pieces.
Yeah, so keep an eye on there to see if they added more pieces as well. Baltimore at 22 with a B minus. Haven't re-signed any of their own. But they add Marcus Williams, Michael Pierce, and Morgan Moses to that offensive line. Villanueva retired. I don't know where Bozeman went, but your thoughts on Baltimore?
Yeah, they kind of been the same with the Steelers. It's been a very quiet offseason. Not really many rumors, not really many signings, kind of just leaving the team as is and going to go with what they're going to get in the draft. So I think that I expected more out of this division for the fact that the Bengals came in from being a 3-win team to going to the Super Bowl and almost winning it. Mm-hmm. So I expected a little bit more. But other than that, the Ravens already had a decent team already. I think if they would just been able to sign a couple pieces on offense, especially at the running back position to help with that and the lack of running that they can get going other than Lamar Jackson, I think then their team would have been a lot better. But I like to see Marcus Williams and Michael Pierce signing there. I kind of want to see what kind of comes about from that because their defense had issues on the defensive line. and also suffered in the safety position ever since Ed Reed had left the team. So I think that's a good signing for Marcus Williams to go from the Saints there.
Mm-hmm. So let's keep moving along here. We got Detroit coming in at number 23 with a B minus. Kept a lot of their own guys. So far, the only addition is Chart, the wide receiver from Jacksonville. But your thoughts with Detroit? Detroit also has 2 first-round picks this year.
I kind of think that they're not a B minus. I would think they're honestly a B plus. I really do think they had a great offseason so far. I mean, they brought back Josh Reynolds and Khalif Raymond. They brought in DJ Chark. You already have Amon St. Brown. So Jared Goff now has 4 weapons to throw to. You already have DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams at running back. So right there's 2 running backs to help with Jared Goff running the ball. And then they brought in a couple of safeties and edge threats back. So they pretty much are bringing the same team back. And they also probably got it almost at the same cap that they were going to have if they would have went out and signed other players. They're more or less going to keep going with their youth movement in the draft. I think that's what they've kind of been going off of. And I think, honestly, I could see the Lions becoming the next Cincinnati Bengals, where 1 year all of a sudden they're bad and then they just jump and make that move and go. The way that the Lions sign players every year, I do think that's where they could be capable of making enough moves and doing it.
Yeah, and a lot of Detroit games last year were close games, even though they had a bad record. Their games were close, so they are, even though it was a bad record, I would rather have that. I would rather know my team is competitive, and we can change a couple things around, which they've done. They, like you said, they kept most of their team together. 2 first-round picks this year, so man, a couple key additions. Maybe the ball bounces a different way in a couple of those games, and all of a sudden you're up to a 6 or 7 win team in year 2. And then the third year, like you said, maybe that third year they take a big jump, and you never know what happens there. The Green Bay Packers, key re-signings, Campbell. They signed a punter. Losses, Adams, Zadarius Smith, Billy Turner, Lucas Patrick, Warren Burks, not sure who that is, and St. Brown. Man, I honestly would give the Packers an F.
I was thinking the same thing. I couldn't even agree with you more. They honestly threw Aaron Rodgers under the bus, backed that bus up, and then drove over it at 1 to 2 miles an hour. And I said, "Oh, not dead enough. Let's back it up again," and redid it all over again. Because Aaron Rodgers losing Adams, and then their defense, they losing their key pieces on defense. They haven't made any signings. I mean, I guess they added a punter, so they figured Aaron Rodgers probably isn't going to have anyone to throw the ball to, so they're going to have to punt the ball a lot this year. So I honestly think that they kind of took a really far step back than what we expected from the Packers this year. And I just expected more out of the Packers, and I expected more out of the GM to want to do and the owner to do more for Aaron Rodgers. And I just don't get what their offseason was about. I mean, I honestly think they're the worst ranked offseason just for the fact of they traded Devontae Adams for a bag of chips.
Yeah. Yep.
We
couldn't believe it when that news broke. We were like, "What? They only got 2 draft picks? That's it?" But
yeah, and
he said he wasn't play. He said he wasn't staying there. He wasn't going to play there. So
enough money talks, though. I think they could have kept him. I think they could have done something to keep him, and they just didn't show that they had very willpower to want to do it.
Yeah. So we'll see. Like I said, F. That's a horrible offseason for Green Bay. Still, honestly, without taking too much of a deeper dive in it, even though it's been an F offseason, they still got to be favorites to win that division. No,
I don't think so. I honestly don't. I think the NFC North is going to be the same as the AFC South. I think it's going to be a toss-up, and it's going to come off of your interdivision matchups. I mean, the Lions could win that division. They signed more players than all 3 teams combined.
Mm-hmm. So let's keep going here. Number 25, my most hated team in the NFL, the New England Patriots. A bunch of re-signings, keeping their own. They usually do that. key additions: Mac Wilson, Terrence Mitchell, Ty Montgomery. But losses: J.C. Jackson, Shaq Mason, Van Noy, Hightower, Winovich, Bolden, and this other gunner wide receiver. Mac Jones is a good quarterback for that system. But their defense took a hit. I know they signed some guys, but I think that defense took a hit.
I think the whole team took a hit, honestly. I just don't think I expected more out of Bill Belichick to want to come back and be more competitive than they were last year with a rookie quarterback. You brought a rookie quarterback back and you didn't sign any wide receivers. You didn't sign any key pieces to help him. I get it. They did have a lot of players they signed last year in free agency, the 2 to 3 year contracts, but I would still want to go out there and I'd still want to try to get maybe a Julio Jones, maybe a Will Fuller, a Jarvis Landry. Like, no one wants to go play there, and it seems like, because no one wants to sign there other than the players, like you said, keep re-signing within house. So I think, honestly, like you said, they took a step back. They honestly could be the worst team in that division if the cards all fall the right way. So there is a lot of question marks on what's going on with that team and how much longer is Bill Belichick going to coach. Right. I personally think he's going to coach until he has the most wins in NFL history. And I think me and you looked into that number, and I think we said it's got to be 3 more years at like 8 wins a season. Could it happen in 3 seasons if they win 8 games? Yeah, but he could also go out this year and only have 4 wins and be horrible.
Right. So let's keep moving here. We're at number 26 with the Kansas City Chiefs. They add Juju Smith-Schuster, who can stay healthy. Very good wide receiver. No Tyreek Hill. But yeah, and he's got some off the field issues kind of. But I don't know. They signed Justin Reed. That's a good signing. Keep Orlando Brown. Your thoughts on what Kansas City is doing, and a guy like Tyrann Mathieu is still available in free agency?
Yeah, I expected more out of them, but like I said earlier in the stream, I expected Patrick Mahomes by now to take a pay cut or try to get more of a signing bonus and help more of the cap number for the Chiefs to be able to sign some players. They've lost a lot of players this offseason. I know they gained a lot of draft picks for the Tyreek Hill trade, but Tyrann Mathieu not wanting to come back there kind of is a really big head scratcher because it shows that there's a lot wrong with that team right there. So their defense is going to take a step back with losing all of those key players right there with Ingram, Ward, and Mathieu. And then their offense is going to take a big step back. They lost Pringle, Robinson, and Hill, their 3 best wide receivers. Mm-hmm. I know that Juju Smith is decent enough, but you need more if you want your team to be successful, and especially Patrick Mahomes. He's going to need someone to throw the ball to. He's not going to be able to throw the ball up in the air and run down the field and get it himself. So I just think that they needed more. I know they just signed Ronald Jones, so that's another key piece of the offense, but you need to get another piece or 2 in there, I think.
Right, yeah, they don't have that on here, but yeah, Ronald Jones, I like that signing. The kid is young. He's had 1,000-yard seasons, so he can handle the load, and he's splitting carries there anyway, so the pressure's not on him for that. But yes, still some, I don't know, losing Hill. I think that's gonna hurt them.
Yeah, I honestly 100% agree. I just think that they took such a big step back, and that's not where you want to go with this. I think you would think they'd want to take a step forward, but they didn't, and it made it worse, I think. And I expected more out of them for this offseason, honestly.
Mm-hmm. So let's keep moving here. We're almost at the top of the hour. We'll keep going here. Minnesota coming in at 27. Shawn, I will let you dive a little deeper into Minnesota here, but guys like Anthony Barr are still available. They lost Conklin. I'd have to go through all the free agents to know who's still available. But your thoughts on what they've done, and what do you think? Where do they stand in that division?
I think that they're in a good place with what they've brought back. They got Harrison Phillips, Hicks, and Montney. We just signed Zadarius Smith, so I think that's another key piece. Honestly, I think they're more of a B minus, and I would think they're in the top 20 in their free agency this year. I think that the pieces that they lost weren't really key pieces. We kind of got rid of the expensive pieces and kind of improved what we didn't have going our way. So I honestly think that it was a better offseason than what I expected. I honestly expected a lot worse out of them. So I honestly think that we improved this year. So I'm okay and I'm happy with the season that we've gotten so far. And I think that it's been a good offseason that we could have done. And I expect them to go out and sign maybe another 1-2 key pieces and then draft the rest and start young again and kind of building the defense that way.
And I just noticed they don't have Zadarius Smith on that list. So
yeah, so
that's on there as well. That's a good. And the cornerback. Who's the cornerback they brought over from Green Bay as well?
Sutton.
Yeah.
So he's not on there as well. So there's a lot of. I think we took the right step in the right direction. I think we're going to be better overall.
Yeah. So yeah. What do you think? With what's going on in Green Bay, did Minnesota did they split with Green Bay last year? Or did they lose both matchups?
We won one, lost one.
Okay, so you never with that division, you never know anymore with Detroit improving, but man, that division could be wide open.
Yeah, I think if Minnesota can go out and improve a little bit more on defense, I do think they will be the favorite for that division overall because the Bears haven't done much. The Lions are the Lions. And the Packers, like we talked about, they took 20 steps back instead of any steps forward.
Yeah, so let's keep moving here. We got the Saints. We'll take a look at some of the cap space here, and maybe a couple of the first round of the draft anyway. But let's keep going here with the Saints. They bring back Winston. I like that. They paid a boatload of money to Marcus May coming back from injury, but they lost Armstead, Williams, and Ty Montgomery there. Your thoughts on what the Saints are doing?
Exactly, kind of like what you just said. What are they doing? I don't really know, honestly. They brought 2 players in. That's it. Mm-hmm. They haven't done anything. So they could be the worst team in that division. I don't really expect much out of them this year. I mean, they don't. What is Michael Thomas going to really bring them? Do we know? We're not really sure because of the fact that he hasn't played for 2 years almost. So he never played a game with Jameis Winston. So could it be good? Could it be bad?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really sure, honestly.
Yeah, and we'll keep an eye on the Kamara situation as well. He got himself in some trouble out at the Pro Bowl. So we'll see what's going on there. But, yeah, let's move down to the Giants. Giants, they give a C. They added Tyrod Taylor, Seals Jones, and Breida. I don't like this. I don't like their offseason as well. Now, the Giants have 2 first-round picks this year as well. So could they add quarterback, either number 5 or 7, with Daniel Jones still there? Your thoughts on what the Giants are doing? I know it's a new GM and head coach this year, but what do you think?
I think their offseason's been an F. They're kind of with the Packers. They're not really doing anything to help their team. They have been very mediocre for a very long time, and you would think they would want to improve their team, and they're not really doing that. So I honestly think that they made their team worse and not really sign anybody that's going to help the team. So I think that they need to hope and pray that they can either sign a lot or do a lot in the draft and maybe trade for some draft picks, or they're going to need to go out and they're going to still need to sign another key piece or 2.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that as well. But yeah, let's keep moving here. Almost done. We're at Chicago, who's at number 30 with a C minus. A new GM and head coach there as well. Your thoughts on what's going on in Chicago?
I honestly would rank them at maybe a B minus over a C minus. I think they've helped their team a little bit with re-signing Houston Carson and then bringing in 2 wide receivers, 2 defensive tackles, a center, and a linebacker there. I think it helps what their team had. I think they're more or less kind of going with the Lions. They want to go younger and kind of build the team that way and build it around Justin Fields. And I expect the Bears in this draft to sign one of the Ohio State wide receivers that played under Justin Fields. I think that's where they're going to probably go for in this draft early on, is signing a wide receiver that he's played with and kind of do like Joe Burrow with Jamar Chase, the quarterback, the wide receiver duo.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with Chicago. Carolina coming in at 31 with a D. They add Foreman, Corbett, Bozeman. Oh, there's Bozeman. Littleton, nice linebacker there. Xavier Woods. They end up getting Johnny Hecker. Higgins and Wilson they bring in. But lose Gilmore. Right now they need a quarterback as well. I know you can't stick with Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's trash.
Yeah, I know they need Sam Darnold, but they could also draft a quarterback and kind of develop him in this draft and develop him over the years. I wouldn't give them a D. I would say a C-. They did bring in a lot of key players there to help their team. And, I mean, they did lose 5 players in the offseason. And, I mean, they were key 5 players, but they brought in 10 players to replace those 5. Mm-hmm. So I think in the draft, I think they're going to definitely help themselves and improve their team overall.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on the Carolina Panthers as well. Like we started off, there's still plenty of free agents available. These guys are going to have to, the longer it goes, for some of these guys, they're just going to have to take 1-year deals and hope they can make the teams. But yeah, they have Houston coming in at number 32. I don't know if I'd agree with that, but your thoughts?
I honestly give Houston a B.
Yeah.
Look how many players they signed. They signed a D tackle, a cornerback, a center, a quarterback, a wide receiver, a running back, linebackers, a safety, and a tight end just from last year. Mm-hmm. Then they brought in another guard, 2 linebackers there, quarterback, a running back, another linebacker, a center, an offensive tackle, and a cornerback again. So you're bringing in how many players there? Like 20, 25 players, and they're not even done probably yet. And they only lost Deshaun Watson. And think about what they got for Deshaun Watson.
Right.
So then, they lost Watson and Tyrod Taylor, but you're going to go with David Mills. Look what he did last year when he was with the team. So I expect a lot out of them. I do. I really think that they're going to get a lot better, and I think they're going to end up signing some more players.
So, yeah. So let's take a look at the salary cap situation here. Going into today, this is what everybody was at. Carolina's still at $31 million. Let's see here. Man, Saints have $22 million. The Jets have $16 million. Where are your Vikings, bud?
We're at the bottom.
Room? Oh yeah, you got $11.5 million. Now, a lot of these teams will keep this amount of cap space heading into the draft, just in case they make some moves. So I think the Jets need out of the $16.9 million they have, I think they need $13 million of that to sign their draft picks, unless they trade some of those picks away. So yeah, who do you think? What do you think? We get a big signing or another big trade here this week?
Honestly, I think we're going to see a bunch of more minor trades, or not minor trades, but minor pickings of free agents happening. I don't think we're going to see many major signings happening or any major trades happening yet. I think that'll be more or less when it comes down closer to the NFL draft. I think that's when you're going to see more stuff happen.
Yeah. So let's look. I was going to do. Let's just take a quick look at the draft. Go to Tankathon. They have the draft order right there. NFL. Let's look at their mock draft here. Oops, I didn't put it on the screen. That might help. There we go. Let's. Man. Going crazy here, Shawn. Going crazy. Mm-hmm. All right, let's look. They got Jacksonville going offensive tackle first. I agree with that, actually. I could see, because they took ETN last year in the first round, I could see them going offensive line. They need a lot of stuff, but I could see them going offensive line. They got the Jets going safety at 4. Let's see when they have the first quarterback. They have the first quarterback coming off the board at number 8 to Atlanta, Liberty. Your thoughts on that?
See, I just don't think Atlanta is going to go out and they're going to draft a quarterback that early in the draft when they could use other key pieces somewhere else. Mm-hmm. I think, honestly, I could see the Falcons waiting maybe till the second round to getting a quarterback. I just don't think any team really out there is saying we need a quarterback and we need one right now. Especially if Carolina and the Giants pass on a quarterback, then I know you almost want to think Atlanta would say, all right, well, we're not going to go out and we're going to draft one because no one below us really needs a quarterback either. So,
right. Depending on what Seattle does at 9, if they think Seattle goes quarterback, they might take Willis at 8.
Yeah, but just looking at the top 10 there, you have one quarterback and no wide receivers or running backs. It takes it all the way. You go all the way down to pick number 11 until you have the first wide receiver, and I don't even know what position the first running back it would even be when the first running back is available.
We'll take a look at that. I think the running backs, even though there are some good backs in this draft, I think they're all second round. I think they all have second round grades on them. We'll look here. But they have your Vikings. They got the Jets taking Stingley at 10. The Jets won't pick Stingley just because of injury concerns. They don't draft those kind of players anymore. But they have your Vikings taking Tyler Linderbaum at 12. I don't know if you guys need a center. He could play guard as well. But man, I was hoping the Jets would trade back from 10 and take him in like this maybe a pick with the Eagles and take him there. But do you guys need a center?
We always could use the offensive line help, but I just don't know if drafting one that early when you can draft other key positions, maybe for a defense, it would be better overall.
Yeah, let's keep looking here. Kenny Pickett going to the Saints at quarterback. And
it's just crazy to sit here and think that we're all the way down to pick 22 so far, and we haven't seen a single running back even available. So it just shows, like you said, they're probably earliest the second round.
Scrub with Dubs, thanks for the follow. Yeah. So then at 20, they have Pittsburgh taking the Ole Miss quarterback. Still no. They have Green Bay, who now has 2 first-round picks. They have taken Chris Olave from Ohio State. Man.
Yeah, I could see them doing that, honestly.
Yep. So let's go. Then they have Green Bay going. Man, is this true? Does Kansas City? They must. But Kansas City owns picks 29 and 30. Man.
Yeah.
Traylon Burks and Nakobe Dean, 2 of my favorite players in the draft. Those that would be great picks there at the end of the first round. But still no running back, Shawn. With Sam Howell going 32 to Detroit, I could see Detroit taking a quarterback there, no matter if anybody does before them, just because you get the 5th-year option on first-round picks.
I honestly, though, there's one name missing there that I didn't see on the list is Jahan Dotson from the Penn State wide receiver. He's going to get taken first round, no doubt. He is by far top 5 wide receiver in this draft. And with the capability that he has with kick returns and the explosive speed he has, he's going to get taken in the first round. So I honestly wouldn't expect him to go any later than the first this year.
Yeah, but let's see. Do they do a second round? They do a second round. They have the Jets taking him at 35. But I agree with you. I think he's going in the first round as well. And then the Jets have the Jets taking Ajobo at 38. He was a top 15 pick before that injury at his pro day. So once again, another injured guy. I don't know. Are they going to take? He's going to miss the season. So even though he's first round talent, I don't know if you take him there at 38. But let's look. We're still looking for a running back, right? Oh, Breece Hall at number 37. Breece Hall is the best running back in this class, and they have him going 37 to Houston. But yeah, man, I'm surprised. I shouldn't say surprised because they are second round grades on all the good running backs. But I would think somebody would take a late round pick on one.
Yeah, I would expect one to go in the first round. Honestly, I could see a Breece Hall going in the first round, truthfully. Him and Dotson are both explosive, and they're both good enough to be in the first round, and they're both going to be able to have that explosive speed early on in their careers. So either way, I think one of them go in the first round. It's just who takes them is the question.
Right, agreed. But let's keep looking through here. Christian Watson, who I really like, even though he went to smaller school there at North Dakota State. Kyler Gordon to the corner going to your Vikings. Love Brisker. If the Jets somehow don't get a safety in the first round, I would love to take Brisker in the second. But yeah, Shawn, I have you working on. Let's see here. Let's get rid of some of this stuff on the screen. Let's bring this up for the guys that are watching. If you're on YouTube, the links are in the description to either sign up for DraftKings. And then if you're not signed up, or if you are already signed up for DraftKings, we have our link to the league Shawn created. Shawn, can you tell us a little bit about what's going on with that league?
Yeah, we're just going to set up Thursday, Sunday, and then some Monday night lineups. Probably only do like maybe a $5, maybe a $10 lineup just to keep it a fantasy fun, competitive, every week-to-week challenge and just have it fun between a bunch of us that enjoy doing lineups and changing it up week to week and not having to worry about locking down a team for a whole year.
Yeah, yep. On a week-to-week basis, that'll be fun. I don't know. We'll see. You're in charge of that, so whatever you want to set up, we'll promote that and jump into some of those. So, yeah, we'll be back Thursday at 7 p.m. We're still working on some things between YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, trying to decide. It looks like we're going to go Twitch. If we get monetized on Twitch, we can't live stream to other platforms at the same time. We can still live stream, but it'll have to be at different times. So I'm still trying to figure that out. But Shawn, anything to add before we go?
No, I mean, just I want to say thanks to everyone that's joined the stream today, and then that we would see you guys hopefully all on Thursday to repeat it all over again.
Yeah, we'll be back on Thursday. Hopefully we get some more signings, maybe another trade or two to talk about. We'll be a few days closer to the draft. Schedule release comes out after the draft. We'll see. I might do some USFL stuff. There's a new league starting, so maybe do some live streams during some of their games as well. But yeah, guys, make sure you hit that follow button or subscribe button, depending on where you are. Hit the notification bells as well, and we'll be back Thursday to talk more NFL and NFL free agency.
All righty, I'll see you guys all on Thursday.
See you guys.